WNBA Finals. And so I'll leave it there. I mean, I'm just obviously disheartened. I'm a human too. I have a family. I have 2 kids who are devastated by these comments. And so all I'll say is just, it's obviously.
The sports world has just witnessed a collision that is going to leave scars on the WNBA for years to come. In a move that has stunned analysts and terrified team owners, Commissioner Cathy Engelbert has officially declared that the current collective bargaining agreement negotiations are effectively dead in the water. This isn't just a pause. It's a full stop, a breakdown of communication that signals a coming war between the league's front office and the talent that fuels it. But while the press releases mention structural disagreements and financial sustainability, insiders know the real story is much more personal and far more explosive. The domino that toppled this entire negotiation wasn't a spreadsheet or a revenue report. It was a reported refusal from the one person the league cannot afford to lose, Caitlin Clark. For the first time, the golden goose has bitten back, and the consequences are threatening to tear the league apart at the very moment it should be celebrating its greatest triumph. To truly understand the gravity of this collapse, we have to peel back the layers of what has happened over the last 18 months. The arrival of Caitlin Clark didn't just boost ratings, it fundamentally broke the WNBA's economic model. Before she was drafted, the league operated on a survivalist mindset. Revenue was modest, growth was slow, and players were told to be grateful for incremental gains. The 2020 CBA was written for that league, a league that was fighting for relevance. But when Clark stepped onto the court, she brought a tidal wave of attention that washed away the old logic. We saw ticket prices soar by 300% in arenas she visited. We saw television networks entering bidding wars that resulted in a historic media rights deal worth billions. The league was suddenly swimming in cash. Yet the players, the women actually generating this wealth, were still shackled to contracts that treated them like part-time employees. This disconnect created a pressure cooker environment in the locker rooms. You had a situation where the league was boasting about historic growth and unprecedented valuation on one hand, while on the other, players like Clark, Angel Reese, and veterans like Breanna Stewart were being told there wasn't enough money for private travel or equitable revenue sharing. The hypocrisy became impossible to ignore. Players watched as the commissioner stood at podiums smiling about the bright future. While they knew that under the current agreement, they wouldn't see a dime of that new media money until at least 2027. The frustration was palpable. But for a long time, it lacked a singular voice powerful enough to force a change. The union was strong, yes, but the league held the checkbook. They needed leverage. They needed someone who mattered more to the bottom line than the owners did. They needed Caitlin Clark. The turning point came quietly away from the cameras. Reports began to circulate that the league approached its brightest stars for new marketing initiatives. Campaigns designed to capitalize on this massive influx of new fans. They wanted access. They wanted documentaries. And they wanted to use Clark's image to sell the future of the WNBA. But this time, instead of compliance, they hit a wall. Sources suggest that Clark, alongside a coalition of top-tier talent, effectively refused to participate in these extracurricular revenue generators under the current terms. It was a silent strike. Clark didn't have to say a word publicly. By simply withholding her participation in the league's marketing machine, she froze their ability to capitalize on her fame. It was a message sent loud and clear. You don't get the Caitlin Clark business if you don't pay for the Caitlin Clark value. This refusal was the spark that burned down the negotiation table. Commissioner Angelberg, a woman known for her corporate background and her measured strategic approach, found herself cornered. She couldn't force the players to promote a league they felt was exploiting them. The official announcement that negotiations were ending wasn't just an administrative update. It was a defensive maneuver. By declaring the talks over, Angelbert is trying to regain control of the narrative. She is signaling to the public and the team owners that she won't be bullied by player power, even if that player is the most popular athlete in America. But it's a dangerous bluff. By shutting down talks, she risks alienating the very workforce that is delivering the product. The core of this dispute goes far deeper than just base salaries. It's about the equity model. In the NBA, players receive roughly a 50-50 split of basketball-related income. If the league makes more money, the players make more money automatically. The WNBA players don't have that luxury. Their revenue share is triggered only after the league hits specific aggressively high revenue targets. Targets that were almost impossible to hit before Clark arrived. Now that those targets are within reach, the players are realizing the targets were a mirage. The owners are accounting for expenses in ways that keep the shared pot of money small. Clark's refusal to play ball with the league's marketing requests highlights this specific injustice. Why should she help the league make hundreds of millions more if she knows her salary is capped at a fraction of that? The math simply doesn't work anymore. And she knows it. Then there is the issue of the unrivaled league, which adds another layer of complexity to this standoff. Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier have launched a 3-on-3 league that promises 6-figure salaries and equity to its players. This alternative option has given the WNBA players something they've never had before, a plan B. If Kathy Angelbert shuts down the WNBA or locks the players out, the stars now have somewhere else to go, somewhere that pays them what they are worth. Caitlin Clark reportedly has a massive offer waiting for her there. Her refusal to capitulate to the WNBA's demands is bolstered by the fact that she doesn't need the WNBA to be rich or famous anymore. This shifts the power dynamic entirely. The commissioner is negotiating with people who have packed bags and a waiting private jet. We also have to look at the specific timing of Angelbert's announcement. It comes right as the Players Association officially opted out of the CBA. This opt-out was expected, but the ferocity of the response was not. Usually, when a union opts out, the two sides issue a joint statement about constructive talks. Instead, we got a declaration of the end of negotiations. This suggests that the initial demands put forward by the players, likely led by the leverage of Clark's camp, were so high that the league viewed them as non-starters. We are likely talking about demands for charter flights for every team, massive salary cap increases, and perhaps even a retroactive bonus structure to compensate for the undervalued play of the last 2 years. The owners, accustomed to operating a league that loses money, likely balked at the price tag. But the fans aren't siding with the owners. The public sentiment has shifted drastically. In the past, the argument was always that the WNBA doesn't make money, so the players can't be paid. That argument is dead. The media deals killed it. Fans know the money is there. They see the sold-out stadiums. They see the jersey sales. When they hear that the commissioner is halting negotiations because of a hardline stance against player demands, they don't see financial prudence. They see greed. Caitlin Clark has managed to weaponize her popularity. She isn't just a player, she's a movement. And by refusing to accept the be grateful narrative, she has exposed the league's leadership as being out of touch with the new reality. The darker side of this story involves the bridge deal rumors. There was speculation that the league wanted to sign a temporary agreement to smooth things over until the new media money hits the bank accounts in 2026. This would have kept the peace and kept the cameras rolling. Clark's refusal to endorse this temporary fix is what likely killed the talks. A bridge deal favors the owners. It buys them time to figure out how to hide revenue or restructure costs. By demanding a full comprehensive solution now, the players are forcing the owners to open their books today, not tomorrow. This aggressive transparency is the last thing the league wants. They want to control the flow of information, and Clark's stance has kicked the door wide open. Let's not forget the charter flight saga that underscores all of this. For years, players were told private flights were financially impossible. Then the moment Clark arrived, the league magically found $25 million to fund a charter program. This proved to the players that the money was always there. It was just a matter of priority. This betrayal of trust is the foundation of the current hostility. The players feel lied to. So when the commissioner says negotiations are over, the players hear that the league is done pretending to care about their demands. Clark, having experienced the chaos of commercial travel and the security risks associated with her level of fame, has zero tolerance for the league's penny pinching. Her refusal is a direct response to the league's history of negligence. So, what happens next? This is the billion-dollar question. If Angelberg holds the line, we could be looking at a lockout in 2026. A lockout would be catastrophic. Imagine the momentum of the WNBA crashing into a wall because the doors are locked. The networks who just paid billions for the rights would be furious. The sponsors would pull out. The fans would drift away. Engelbert knows this. She is playing a game of chicken with a freight train. She is betting that the players, many of whom are not wealthy like Clark, will eventually crack under the financial pressure and accept a lesser deal. It's a ruthless corporate tactic. Starve the workforce until they surrender. But she may have miscalculated the unity of the locker room. The Clark refusal has likely galvanized the union in a way we haven't seen before. In the past, top stars had different incentives than the bench players. But now, everyone is aligned. The bench players want the salary floor raised. The stars want the revenue share. Clark acts as the glue. Her refusal to sell out for a personal side deal, her insistence on a systemic fix, means the union is unbreakable. The commissioner's announcement is an attempt to fracture this unity to make the players panic. But if the reports are true and Clark is standing firm, the panic is going to be happening in the executive offices, not on the practice courts. Furthermore, we must consider the legal implications. If the league is found to be negotiating in bad faith by declaring an end to talks without a genuine impasse, they could face legal action from the National Labor Relations Board. The WNBPA has a team of sharks for lawyers, and they are watching every word Engelbert says. This official announcement might have been a tactical error, providing the union with evidence that the league is unwilling to bargain. It elevates the conflict from a sports story to a legal battle, one that will be fought in courtrooms as well as on social media. And in the court of public opinion, Caitlin Clark is the judge, jury, and executioner. The owners are also not a monolith. You have the legacy owners who have lost money for decades and are terrified of spending more. Then you have the new money owners, people like the ownership group of the Golden State Valkyries or the Seattle Storm, who see the potential and are willing to spend to win. Engelbert has to manage this internal civil war among the bosses while fighting the war against the E-players. Clark's refusal exploits this crack in the armor. The new owners want Clark on the floor selling tickets. They don't want a lockout. By withholding her cooperation, Clark is empowering the progressive owners to pressure Engelbert to make a deal. It's 4D chess, and the rookie is playing it like a grandmaster. There is also the narrative of ungratefulness that the league tries to spin. They will likely leak stories to the press about how greedy the players are being, citing the average American salary and contrasting it with the players' demands. They will try to paint Clark as a diva who is destroying the league that made her famous. But that tactic is risky. Clark's fame predates the WNBA. She brought her fame to them, not the other way around. If the league tries to smear her, they risk a fan revolt. The refusal protects her from this. She isn't asking for a specific dollar amount in the press. She is simply disengaging. It's a passive resistance that makes it very hard for the league to paint her as the villain. We also need to talk about the generational shift this represents. For decades, female athletes were